Cloud. Hi, I'm Devon Krupp from the Museum of Philately, and hello, good afternoon to Marcus.
Yep, as he always does, he always introduces me and I don't get a chance to introduce myself. But anyway, I'm Marcus Orsi, also from the Museum of Philately, and we're delighted to welcome you to our third of a series of articles and discussions about, well, the subject from Museum of Philately is always to do with collectors, their collections, and their rarities. And today our focus is on rarities. And we did our first one was on rarities and the top 5 rarities in the world. And we did a fantastic expose on the top 5. And today we are going to discuss the top 1, the number 1, right? Wasn't that, Devon?
Yeah. Yep.
No.
Yeah, I've got it here.
There you go. Yeah, it's not the best image, is it? Actually, I think I've got a better one. Just 1 second. You can say something while I'm away.
Yeah, the British Guiana 1 cent Magenta, 1856. Most Googled stamp there is. Wow, look at that.
Yep, that's a slightly better one. It's on a glossy cover of a catalogue that was produced by Sotheby's back in 2014. I've got something to say about that later on, but I'll let Devlin, chat a bit about the stamp first, and then I'll come in.
Well, of course, it's very topical at the moment, Marcus, because Stuart Weitzman, the current owner, is going to sell it along with a couple of other sort of unique items that he has in his collection. And of course, it's causing quite a bit of a spin, not just in the philatelic world, but outside the philatelic world, because he's put his owner's mark on the back. I've blown this up so we can all have a look at it. Look at that.
And so that little squiggle, what does that represent?
This is a stiletto shoe.
Oh, of course, yes. He's in the shoe business.
With his SW. And this is a man who's put similar on Beyonce and Taylor Swift and Kate Middleton and Kate Moss, people like that. So they've been seen wearing his shoes down the catwalk. And so there's a big debate going on in Philately whether or not this is a bit of artifact vandalism or whether it's actually an incredible marketing tactic of his. But there's also a third view, is that he's only doing what previous collectors have done in the past. I mean, Count Ferrari's left his mark on it. Arthur Hind apparently has left his mark on it. John Dupont signed the back with his initials. Erwin Weinberg, who took it on a world tour.
Yeah. First
time I think anybody's taken a stamp on a world tour.
Yeah.
Which just goes to show the pull and the fascination that people have with this stamp.
Well, there's a rocket one on the back as well. Whose is that?
The rocket is actually Frederick T. Smalls. It's like a comet. It's like a comet.
We were Googling him the other day, trying to find a bit about him. There's not an awful lot known about him, but
no, he's an Australian chap, and he did emigrate to America eventually. I mean, he did accumulate 1 or 2 quite special British Guiana items, but obviously this was his prize item, and he bought it from the estate of the Hind estate. Arthur Hind actually wrote his wife out of the will, but she contested it, and then eventually she got the stamp. And then Macy sold it on her behalf, negotiated the deal with Mr. Small. And in fact, Finbar Kenny has left his mark on the back as well. He's the one with the FK. I don't know if you can see it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So he didn't actually own it. So that's the only one that I'm a bit uncomfortable about, really, because you kind of think, well, he didn't own it. But anyway, there's some pretty heavyweight names on the back there. And also there's a debate, look, is it so bad putting in a pencil mark when this trefoil of Ferraris and this apparently is Heinz, or maybe not, marker. This is in ink, and this comet just here is also in ink. I mean, ink, as we all know, is probably a bit more abrasive.
It doesn't look so well. Well, what's fun about this story is that I have a very close and personal relationship with this stamp. And how it all happened was back in 2000, it was probably 2013. There was a number of companies that were contacted to make a bid to sell the John Dupont collection. So he had a big collection of British Guiana, not just the one stamp. And that's the wonderful thing about this stamp, is that it wasn't just a great rarity on its own. It was part of a major collection, which got shown in numerous exhibitions over the years. But anyway, the personal part about it is that in the end, after all this going back and forth with different companies, the David Feldman Company got the mandate to sell the collection. But before that, we were going to get the 1 cent as well. So my involvement was I was going to go pick up the stamp. So I had my ticket booked. I was all ready to go, very excited. My wife was excited. I was telling all my friends I was going to go and pick up this very valuable stamp. And all of a sudden, there was a contesting of the will, and it was all stopped. So my flight was canceled, and well, the rest is history because I never went to pick up the stamp. It got sold, as I said, in Sotheby's. They produced a fantastic historical expose on the stamp, and then they sold that in June 2014, 17th of June, and it's ironic that it's coming up again in June, seven years later. And then on top of that story, and of course David Feldman went on. I'll just get the catalog for you. We went on and we sold. Oh yeah, you've got it. You see, you've got your props. You see,
I got the props.
Yeah. So we went on and sold the collection also in June 2014. We sold the balance of the collection, and I mean, it really wasn't a balance. It was a phenomenal collection, which had was a great success. But the next connection I have with the stamp is I actually went to the Sotheby's auction in New York at the time and sat with Erwin Weinberg, one of the guys that had owned it, and then of course took it on this world tour. But you know, one of the memories as a kid growing up was seeing the magazine from 1954, the Life, and I've got a copy of it here.
Oh yeah, with all the world's most expensive stamps, or the rarest stamps of the world. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and
it's iconic. It's iconic, isn't it?
It inspired me. It inspired David Feldman to do the encyclopedia of rare stamps. Devlin's got that in front of him, and of course the British Guiana is in there. There it is with all its glory. And so here's the article that took place. That's in the Life. Did I say Time? I think I did say Time. Life magazine, 1950. Yeah. May. So you know, it's got so much history, this stamp, and we're so excited about the Sotheby's have now got it again, and it's going to be coming up in a couple of weeks. Devlin, do you have any more thoughts on?
Yeah, well, I suppose it's a thought and a question really to you, Marcus, and that is that. I kind of think this is a genius marketing move to sort of open up the stamp to a broader audience. It's to attract people outside of philately to look at it and go, hang on a minute, why is this fashion designer got a stamp, and what's he doing putting his mark on it? Because he hasn't put a mark on his other stamp. So I think there's a reason why he's done it. But do you think, Marcus, that it will open the doors to other people who perhaps at the moment don't know anything about stamps, or perhaps think they're ridiculous?
Well, my own view is I think it's philatelic vandalism. I would never do that. I think it's awful. And I think the hand stamps are even worse, because we talked earlier, he leaves this inky mark on it, and this pencil mark, it's quite a significant signature. That said, because I'm a stamp collector myself, would I ever buy a stamp that's got all these marks on the back? I wouldn't. Would I sign my own stamp like that? I wouldn't. So it's not, but this is not your ordinary stamp. This has got something significant. And what's great is in the philatelic world, a lot of great people owned that stamp. Some of the great people in our hobby own that stamp. This is the first time it's passed from great philatelists to famous people. Now, DuPont was famous because of his family, and of course there's the famous film about DuPont, the Foxcatcher. So I suppose the DuPont side was the beginning of this celebrity side to it. And I I suppose it went from one celebrity to another. It went to Weitzman, and he has been hugely, because he's always wanted that stamp, and he's been hugely, I mean, he's been happy to, we met him, I met him at Monaco. He came to the Monaco stamp show a couple of years ago, brought the stamp, and he was there. Very, very nice guy, but he was so delighted to own the stamp. I mean, he always wanted to own the stamp. So, yeah.
So that's good, because we've got slightly different views. I mean, I think you're right. You said something that's quite important. That is, the circumstances are so unique. I don't think he would do that to the inverted Jenny unique block that he's got, but he's done it to this one because there's something about it that's just a little bit more intriguing, a little bit more. As you say, it's almost transferring from the philatelic realm into the sort of the rich and famous realm, isn't it? And so leaving his mark on it, in a way, you kind of think, well, he didn't have much choice, did he? If he didn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting how, you know, because I got to know Erwin Weinberg quite well after that auction. I got to know him, met him many times, and it's interesting how that stamp, that's what the power of this stamp has. It changed this guy's life, because he was a relatively successful stamp dealer, but he became famous,
yeah,
because he took that stamp on a world tour. So this stamp has got more than just, it's not just about the money, you know, it's about that it's got this kudos, which has gone with it. And Weinberg survived and did a lot of great business on top of it, on top of the fact that he'd had it. So it sort of helped him. It sort of launched his career, if you want. And I'm sure it made him a lot of money, not just the stamp, but all the spin-offs that came from it. So it's a mythical stamp. I think that's really what we would say, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it is. It's more, in a way, it's more famous than any other stamp because of whose hands it's been through. You know, people can now identify with Stuart Weitzman, perhaps, even if they're not philatelists.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'd be interesting to see. June the 8th is when it goes up for auction. So estimate 10 to 15 million. So if it gets that, we'll all be basking in a new line.
Exactly. Now, you've done an article on it, haven't you?
I've done an article, yeah. I've done, well, a couple of articles, but one in particular which will appear in Gibbons Stamp Monthly shortly. Be interesting to see what people think to that. But yeah, I'm going to try and enjoy the journey, Marcus, between now and the 8th, just to see, because there's a lot of publicity, a lot of people talking about stamps.
And of course, in the Museum of Philately, we've been updating and adding bits and pieces to the 1 cent on our museum. So go and have a look at that, because that's kind of fun. You'll see what we've done, and of course, we're going to be updating it again. Hopefully, with the new owner, or if maybe we won't know who the owner is, but with the success of the Sotheby's sale. So I think we've covered everything we wanted to cover today. What do you reckon?
We have, yes. And so we want to thank you for watching, and ask that you tune in again next time, or indeed watch one of our previous 2 episodes. And if you've got any questions, or you want to know a little bit more about what we've talked about today, then please go to www.museumoffphilately.com and find out a bit more about the collectors and the collections that are on the system. And if you want to contact us, there's a contact us form. We'd love to hear from you, any comments, questions. And if you want to sign up to our newsletter, there's also a form on there where you can sign up to our monthly newsletter. So until next time, Marcus.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye now.